Thunder cracks across a sky that has never known peace. In the frozen north, a one-eyed god rises from his throne, gripping a spear that has never missed its mark. In the heavens above a distant mountain, another king awakens, lightning dancing between his fingers. And in the silent halls beneath the earth, a jackal-headed figure lifts his gaze from the scales of judgment, sensing that the balance of all things is about to shift. What happens when the mightiest gods of three civilizations are drawn into conflict? This isn't just mythology. This is cosmic philosophy made flesh. Three ancient cultures' answers to the ultimate question. What does it mean to wield absolute power? Tonight, we imagine the unimaginable. We pit wisdom against authority, against eternity itself. Odin, Zeus, Anubis, let the war begin. Before we send these gods to war, you must understand who they are, not as characters in stories, but as embodiments of what their peoples believed about the universe. Odin, the all-father of Norse mythology, a god of war, yes, but more profoundly a god of wisdom, poetry, death, and sorcery. He rules Asgard, the realm of the Norse gods, from his throne Hlidskjalf, from which he can see everything that occurs across all 9 worlds. He is ancient, cunning, and willing to sacrifice anything, including pieces of himself, for knowledge. The Vikings saw in him a god who understood that power without wisdom is meaningless. Zeus, the king of the Olympian gods in Greek mythology, ruler of the sky and thunder. He commands from Mount Olympus, where the divine council bows to his authority. Zeus overthrew his own father, the Titan Cronus, to seize power, and has defended his throne against giants, monsters, and even his own family. He represents order, law, and the raw assertion of dominance. The Greeks saw in him the supreme patriarch, flawed, passionate, but ultimately in control. Anubis, the jackal-headed god of ancient Egypt, guardian of the dead, and master of the transition between life and the afterlife. He invented mummification. He guides souls through the perilous underworld. He presides over the weighing of the heart, the ceremony that determines whether a soul is worthy of eternal life. Where Odin and Zeus rule the living, Anubis commands the realm that awaits us all. 3 gods, 3 civilizations, 3 fundamentally different visions of divine power. In any clash of gods, weapons matter, but so does how they wield them. Odin's weapon is Gungnir, a spear forged by the master dwarf craftsman and imbued with powers beyond human comprehension. The spear never misses its target. But Gungnir is more than a weapon. It represents Odin's total commitment to fate. In Norse tradition, throwing a spear over an enemy marked the beginning of battle, dedicating the slain to Odin himself. But Odin's true power lies not in his arm, but in his mind. He sacrificed one of his eyes at Mimir's well to gain cosmic wisdom. The guardian of that well, knowing the value of its waters, demanded something precious in return. Without hesitation, Odin gouged out his own eye and dropped it into the shimmering depths. From that moment, Odin became the one-eyed god, forever marked by his sacrifice, but blessed with unparalleled insight into past, present, and future. And that was not his only sacrifice. He hung himself from Yggdrasil, the world tree, impaled by his own spear, for 9 days and nights without food or drink to discover the secrets of the runes. He traded a profane, everyday mode of perception for something sacred. Divine wisdom informed by ancestral knowledge. He is aided by 2 ravens, Hugin and Munin, thought and memory, who fly across all worlds gathering intelligence. He can shapeshift, leave his body as spirit, and command the wild hunt across winter skies. Zeus wields the thunderbolt, forged by the Cyclopes and given to him as a weapon in his war against the Titans. It is the most iconic symbol of divine wrath in Greek mythology. With it, Zeus controls storms, summons lightning, and can obliterate anything. Titans, giants, monsters, or mortals who challenge his authority beyond the thunderbolt. Zeus possesses near omnipotence among the Greek gods. He can manipulate weather at will. He shapeshifts with ease. In Homer's Iliad, Zeus boasts that all the gods combined could not overpower him in a contest of strength, that if he wished, he could hang a golden chain from heaven and all Olympians pulling together could not drag him down, but he could drag them up, along with the earth and sea itself. His word is law on Olympus, and defiance means destruction. Anubis commands something neither Odin nor Zeus can claim: mastery over death itself. As guardian of the scales, he presides over the weighing of the heart ceremony, the critical judgment that determines whether a soul is worthy of entering the realm of the dead. The heart of the deceased was weighed against the feather of Maat, goddess of truth and cosmic order. Souls heavier than the feather would be devoured by Ammit, a fearsome creature with the head of a crocodile, the body of a lion, and the hindquarters of a hippopotamus. Souls lighter than the feather would ascend to eternal life. Anubis was also gifted with magical powers. Ancient sources describe him as the guardian of all kinds of magical secrets. Backed by battalions of messenger demons, he walks between worlds, guide to the newly dead, protector of tombs, inventor of the sacred art of mummification that allowed mortal lives to continue beyond death. To understand how these gods would wage war, we must see how they fought before. Odin's greatest battle lies in his future, Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods. Norse prophecy foretells that at the end of days, Odin will lead the gods of Asgard against the forces of chaos, giants, monsters, and the children of Loki. He knows how this battle ends. The prophecy foretells that Fenrir, the monstrous wolf, will break free from his chains and swallow Odin whole. The All-Father knows he is fated to die. He fights anyway. This is the essence of Odin. He pursues knowledge even when that knowledge reveals his own doom. He accepts fate while struggling against it. His warriors, the Einherjar, heroes who died bravely in battle, train endlessly in Valhalla for a war they cannot win. For the Norse, this was not despair. It was the highest form of courage. Zeus's defining war was the Titanomachy, the 10-year conflict between the Olympians and the Titans for control of the cosmos. Cronus, Zeus's father, had devoured his own children to prevent a prophecy that one would overthrow him. But Rhea, Cronus's wife, tricked him, feeding him a stone wrapped in swaddling clothes while hiding the infant Zeus in Crete. When Zeus grew strong, he returned. He freed his siblings from Cronus's stomach, released the Cyclopes and the 100-handed giants from imprisonment in Tartarus, and led the assault against the Titan stronghold on Mount Othrys. The Cyclopes forged his thunderbolt. The 100-handed ones hurled 300 stones at once. After 10 years of cosmic battle, the Titans fell. Zeus imprisoned them in Tartarus and divided the universe with his brothers. The sky for himself, the sea for Poseidon, the underworld for Hades. But Zeus's throne has been challenged since. The giant Typhon, a monster with 100 serpent heads spitting fire, once stole the sinews from Zeus's hands and feet, rendering him helpless and holding him hostage in a cave. Only through the cunning of Hermes and Aegipan did Zeus recover his sinews, resume the fight, and ultimately bury Typhon beneath Mount Etna. Even the king of gods has known defeat. Anubis does not wage war in the conventional sense. His mythology centers on preservation, protection, and judgment. When Set murdered Osiris and scattered his body across Egypt, it was Anubis who helped Isis reassemble and mummify the corpse, allowing Osiris to be resurrected as ruler of the underworld. In later traditions, Anubis captured Set and branded him with an iron rod, creating the leopard spots as a permanent mark of shame. What would provoke Anubis to true war? Only one thing: an assault on the natural order of death and rebirth. Any god who threatened to unmake the cycle of souls would face the full wrath of the jackal. If these three titans of mythology clashed, how would the battle unfold? Zeus would strike first. His nature demands it. The thunderbolt would arc across whatever realm hosts this conflict, seeking to end the fight with overwhelming force. Against mortal enemies, against most gods, this tactic works. Zeus fights to dominate, to assert supremacy, to remind all creation that he sits atop the divine hierarchy. But Odin would not be standing where that bolt lands. The All-Father is not a warrior of raw power. He is a warrior of preparation. Centuries of gathering intelligence through his ravens mean Odin never enters battle without knowing his enemy's weaknesses. He would have studied Zeus long before the first clash. He would anticipate, He would let Zeus exhaust himself against illusions, shadows, and shape-shifted forms, while Gungnir awaits its perfect moment. And Anubis? Anubis would simply wait. Both Odin and Zeus are bound by fate and mortality, however distant. Odin knows his death at Fenrir's jaws awaits at Ragnarok. Zeus fears the prophecy that a son might one day overthrow him, just as he overthrew Cronus. The Egyptians viewed Anubis as something beyond mortal temporality, an eternal guardian who has always existed and always will. He does not need to win the battle, he only needs to outlast it. Here lies Zeus's great weakness, his impulsiveness and his pride. He has been tricked before by Prometheus, by Typhon, by conspiracies among his own family. His passions cloud his judgment. Odin's weakness is his acceptance of doom. He fights brilliantly, but part of him does not believe he can ultimately prevail. That fatalism is both his strength and his limitation. Anubis's weakness, if he has one, is his defined domain. He rules death and the transition of souls. Outside that realm, his authority may fade. He is a guardian, not a conqueror. In direct combat, Zeus's raw power might overwhelm Odin's cunning or Anubis's patience. But mythology isn't about who hits hardest. It's about who endures. And only one of these gods has forever on his side. This imagined war isn't really about three gods. It's about three civilizations and what they believed power truly meant. To the Norse, Odin represented wisdom earned through suffering. True power comes not from strength, but from knowledge. Even when that knowledge brings despair, the most general message of his sacrifice is that for those who share Odin's values, no sacrifice is too great for wisdom. The Vikings revered a god who knew he would lose and fought anyway, a philosophy that shaped a warrior culture facing impossible odds in a harsh, unforgiving world. To the Greeks, Zeus embodied authority and law. Power meant control over nature, over other gods, over fate itself. The Olympians reflected a culture that valued order, hierarchy, and the assertion of will. Zeus's flaws, his lusts, his jealousies, his rages, made him terrifyingly human. He was power without perfection, dominance without wisdom. The Greeks understood that even supreme authority could be challenged, humbled, and forced to adapt. To the Egyptians, Anubis represented something neither Odin nor Zeus could claim: permanence. Egyptian civilization was obsessed with eternity, with the continuation of the soul beyond death. Anubis wasn't about winning wars. He was about ensuring that existence itself continued according to Ma'at, the sacred principle of truth, balance, and cosmic order. Without Anubis, souls would be lost to chaos, prey to monsters, or trapped in eternal unrest. What does their clash symbolize in the human psyche? Chaos versus order versus eternity. Knowledge versus authority versus inevitability. The god who accepts death versus the god who fears it versus the God who commands it. Fate versus free will versus the judgment that awaits us all. So, who wins? Perhaps that's the wrong question. The Norse would say Odin, because he knows something the others don't. The Greeks would say Zeus, because power belongs to those who seize it. The Egyptians would say Anubis, because all gods in the end must face the scales. But maybe the real winner is humanity, because we created all three. We looked at the mysteries of existence, war, justice, death, and gave them faces. We made gods in our image so we could understand ourselves. And that legacy, that lives forever. So, who wins? The all-knowing Odin, the thunder-wielding Zeus, or the silent guardian of the dead, Anubis? Tell us in the comments who you'd bet on and why. And if you love exploring ancient battles, forgotten gods, and mythical showdowns from across the ages, subscribe to Mythic Tales and join a growing pantheon of curious minds. New legends drop every week. Don't miss the next myth that might just change the way you see the world.